Peace and love, family. It's your boy, Brother Truth. Now, what do we have here? When I tell you this damn Donnie be striking every day, he coming out hard. Now, if you look here, it says, excluding Indians, Trump administration questions Native Americans' birthright citizenship in court. Is Donnie playing chess with him again? Let's dig deep and see what this is all about, shall we? Now, before moving forward, I just want to tell you all there's a misnomer right here on the front page, right? According to Commerce and the English language and this English system that we are operating in. First and foremost, they use two different words to identify the same people, right? They said excluding Indians, but then turned around and says the admin questions Native Americans. These are two different things for commercial purposes when we're dealing with English law. Now, if you look up the definition of Indians in the Black's Law Dictionary, it will tell you that it belongs to the Aboriginal inhabitants of North America. Okay? And this is very important because they didn't call them indigenous. They didn't call them natives. They called them aboriginals, meaning the original people of these lands that were here when they first got here as Englishmen. Now, for the purpose of commerce, there's an incredibly huge difference between Native Americans and American Indians. As we already know, for commerce, according to a Black's Law Dictionary that they use against us every day in law, they said that Indians apply to the Aboriginals, okay? But let's see what they say about natives. A Native American, well, a native period, is a natural-born subject or citizen. A natural-born subject. And then it says, wait, a denizen by birth. Well, what is a denizen? Now, if we look at what it says for denizen, it says in English law, it's a person who, being an alien born, has obtained letters patent to make him an English subject, right? So all of that being a native still leads right back to being a subject of the crown. Okay, so it's important that we know who we are and how to assert ourselves and what words we are using in commerce, because American Indians are not the same as Native Americans. Now, back to the story at hand with the birthright citizenship and Trump questioning Native Americans. Now, if we look here, it says, in the case of Trump's birthright citizenship executive order coming out of Washington, the Justice Department attorneys quote the 14th Amendment, which reads that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction of are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. Now, the key words in their whole argument was subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Now, make sure you pay attention to this next part, because then the lawyer started to argue. The Justice Department then goes on to cite the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which predates the 14th Amendment by 2 years. The Justice Department attorneys specifically cite a section of that act that says all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians, not taxed, are hereby declared to be citizens of the United States. All right? They just told y'all all persons born in the United States are citizens, excluding Indians who aren't taxed. And then it gets exciting because it says that the Trump administration then goes on to argue that the 14th Amendment's language, the phrase subject to any jurisdiction thereof, is best understood to exclude the same individuals who were excluded by the act originally, those who are subject to any foreign power, meaning nationals of another countries. And then it also says Indians not taxed. Right? So they're saying that the 14th Amendment doesn't apply to subjects of a foreign power, and it doesn't apply to Indians not taxed. Now, this is important because Indians are taxed every day because we are operating as blacks, as Latinos, and everything else but Choctaw, Cherokee, Blackfoot, Aztec, and all that. All right? So yes, many of the Indians are being taxed because we are operating as 14th Amendment shadow citizens. Hello, right? And then you come down here, it says the Justice Department attorneys return to the topic of whether or not Native Americans should be entitled to birthright citizenship later in their argument, citing a Supreme Court case, Elk v. Wilkins, in which the court decided that because members of the Indian tribes owe immediate allegiance to their tribes, they are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and are not constitutionally entitled to citizenship. Those are some key strong words right there. Already letting you know if you're operating as Native Americans, you have just as much power as blacks, and you are not involved in the Constitution, okay? Just like the Dred Scott case, blacks don't have no constitutional power. Native Americans don't have no constitutional power. So for them to even question the birthright citizenship of Native Americans is already a game because they didn't question the birthright citizenship of American Indians, right? Who are actually protected by the Constitution, okay? So again, when you are not operating in the proper status, you will be treated like a black. Even you Native Americans, you will be treated like a black because you are operating as denizens, which are English subjects. You're going to have to come back home to your American Indian family and come boss up with us, right? Black people going through hell, Native Americans going through hell. I can tell you what, we will be so much more powerful when we finally take the time to understand the law and the real powers that we have here in America. It's time to get informed. Come join us now on ourselflawandmaster.com. Today,